All right, real estate pro tip: follow the grocery bags. What do I mean by that? I'm old enough to know that when I was young, we used boxes that were left over from deliveries to the grocery store to take our things, and the cashier used an old punch key. Then the grocery stores found out that if they provided paper bags, that it provided convenience and a way for shoppers to shop more each trip. It was more convenient and more measurable, and they got a premium for that. That lasted for about 20 years, and then the people about the trees were all concerned about the trees being cut down to make these paper bags. So then they switched to the much more eco-friendly plastic bags. So the plastic bags then were great for about 20 years as well, and then people got really concerned about plastic bags and how harmful to the environment they are. So what did they do then? So then it was no longer paper plastic. Then it was like, oh, we're not going to give people a choice anymore. We're going to make the decision for them. So they banned plastic bags about 4 years ago in grocery stores. I said at the time, it has nothing to do with the environment. It's profit driven and it's control driven and political driven for votes. So they just released a study about 2 months ago and show that yes, in fact, there's more emissions for the greenhouse gases because the bags that they replace the plastic bags with are thicker and the manufacturing process is heavier. So even though they're reusable, the actual net effect of the environment is more. So why do I bring all this up, and what does that have to do with real estate? Well, the city of Seattle is working really hard to ban natural gas as an energy source, energy choice in Seattle. Already in new construction, you can't add it to new construction, which is absolutely deplorable. So what happens when you do this? So if you can't add it in new construction, you're going to add extra demand onto the electrical system. The electrical system will need upgrades, which also has a CO impact, my friends. Not only that, the cost of electricity will continue to dominate as gas is phased out, and we won't have diversity of energy source choices. So not only will we throw tons of gas appliances and things into the dump, which obviously is really bad for the environment, more things have to be manufactured in China and shipped over here. It's a total cluster. So why do I bring up the kitchen bags, or excuse me, the grocery bags? Is that it's just the same pattern that gets repeated over and over and over, and people fall for it. We need to fight in Seattle for our rights to diversity of energy source choice. No more of this, we're going to save the environment one little city at a time. It actually, what it does is creates increased energy costs for everybody, and it impacts low-income people the most. It makes rents go up, and it's a very negative impact. So let's have choice. Let's have diversity of people. Let's have diversity of energy sources. We need more energy sources, and we can work to regulate to keep the energy sources as clean to the environment as possible. Let's have diversity. Let's have your wind. Let's have your water. Let's have electric. Let's have choice. Let's quit making the choices for people. Let's educate people. Let's let them make their own choices. But all you're doing right now with trying to ban gas, it's already banned in new construction, just making housing more expensive. I did a post a few back that showed that in Seattle, from the city's own inspections or their own reports, they've added $234,000 over the last 10 years to the average cost to construct a home in Seattle now, based on how prohibitive the process of permitting is, how expensive the process of permitting is, and all the standards for greenery and everything else. Can we see the big picture? Look, I've been in real estate for 30 years, and I've studied a lot on real estate. And I'm not an expert on the environment, but I do know on manipulation when I see it. And I do know that based on the grocery bags, there's a real issue going on. So stay strong, guys. Think. Look at the big picture. If you have the perspective of multiple decades, look at the pattern, how it continues. It's about control. It's about profit. Maybe a little bit about the environment, but mostly about control and profit. And you can see that banning the grocery bags that I actually reused as garbage bags, but now I buy my garbage bags separately. That's another impact, which I'm sure they didn't include in the study. The whole thing is just nuts. Plus, usually when we shrink our carbon footprint here, we just outsource it to China or somewhere else, and they increase theirs, and they have lesser standards for pollution than we do. So when we stop doing stuff here, it usually gets outsourced to another country that has even lesser environmental impact laws than we do. So, you know, we're in a globe. It's a confined space. It doesn't make sense to make sure that our farts don't smell by shipping manufacturing and things elsewhere. So anyways, I've said enough. Bottom line, fight for gas. Fight for diversity and choices. Don't let the monopolies rule us into paying ungodly amounts for our energy. Because remember, when you pay a lot for energy, it hurts the poor and the middle class the most. All right, you guys, stay strong.